Hello and welcome to day 2 of our East Coast road trip. This is our first full day, as yesterday was a travel day. We will leave a link to that video below. Today we are exploring the always stunning city of New York. Yesterday we pushed through our sleep barriers in order to combat jet lag, but still woke exceptionally early, ready for a full day of sightseeing. It was a glorious day and we watched the sunrise from our excellent city view room in the Rio Plaza, Manhattan, Times Square. Making full use of the early start, we headed into Central Park via the Rockefeller Plaza for some golden hour photo shots. Let us take you around the park while we explain our plan for today. This is far from our first time in the city, and our golden rule is not to plan too much into one day. It is so easy to plan endless activities in the hope you can somehow pack them in and make it all work, but in the end you end up running around the city, missing out on the full experience and exhausting yourself in the process. However, we can be a little do as we say, not as we do, and often fail to heed our own advice. This is one of those occasions. We had a packed day planned, and our scheduled itinerary included Central Park, Top of the Rock, lunch, movie sites tour, Harbour Lights cruise, and finally the Edge late at night. That's a jam-packed itinerary, but with a good reason. The weather for today was glorious. Blue skies, mild temps, little wind, the perfect fall exploration weather. Tomorrow was not looking so pretty. Rain, rain and more rain, followed by a lump more rain the day after. Because of this, we plan to tick off all our outdoor attractions in one day, and then just pray for some reprieve in the forecast. As it was early in the morning, the park was really quite quiet, and the weather was absolutely stunning. The fall colours were just starting to turn, and there is very few places in the world more enjoyable than Central Park in the morning. So after enjoying the park for a while, ticking off the Home Alone Bridge, the Mall, the Bethesda Terrace and Fountain, the lake and finally Bow Bridge, we headed to our first paid attraction, the Top of the Rock. Here we ran into a little snafu. We are using a 3-day Go City all-inclusive pass to cover all our attractions. We swear by these passes and have multiple detailed reviews on them in both New York and many other cities. But this was our first time using this particular pass. We have used the New York pass before, which is almost exactly the same and actually by the same folks over at Go City. The all-inclusive Go City pass is a new offering, however. As we take you through the next few days, we will do an impromptu review of the pass and show you the running total as we go. We planned our first attraction to be the Top of the Rock, however when we got there we discovered we were not the only ones cramming in their outdoor attractions for the one good weather day. The next available slot for the top was 8:30 PM this evening. This was not going to work. However, the interesting thing about the pass is once you have redeemed the pass for a time slot for the Top of the Rock, you can then rearrange that slot as many times as you like and it does not affect the pass. It moves the booking onto the Top of the Rock system and counts as a redemption at the current time. When you actually visit the rock is irrelevant to the pass. We could go in 2 weeks' time if we wanted. In fact, that was looking like a distinct possibility at this point. But it counts as a pass redemption, so we will count it here as such. But we could not actually go up at this time. We asked to pay for an upgrade, but that was not an option. This left us in a pickle as we had nothing to do right now, and quite a bit of time before our next planned attraction. We instead headed for the Empire State Building. This requires a booking via the apps, so we hopped on the app and booked for the next slot, which was an hour away, and headed over to the Empire State Building. It's a 20-minute hike down 5th, and while we considered the subway, we had time to kill, so hiked down instead. Once at the building, we were actually early for the slot and the agent was not letting us in, so we hunted out some breakfast, which was by now becoming brunch. We headed over to Macy's on 34th Street, famous from a certain Christmas film, 2 actually, and looked for some food, finally deciding on Shake Shack, our favourite East Coast fast food burger chain. After this, it was finally time to head back to the Empire State Building and head on up. The lower levels are the museum part of the attraction. These are a lot of fun with old school binoculars, high-rise girders, elevator sims and celebrity photos along with the really fun King Kong exhibit. However, these were crazy busy, and as we had seen them all before, we just couldn't face fighting the masses. So we kind of skipped through and headed straight to the elevator.
Welcome to the world's most famous building, and you get to see it built. Keep your arms and legs inside and keep your eyes open. See those hot rivets flying through the air? Nice catch, Lou! Get those planks out of the way, huh? Oh, hey, watch it! We're coming up here! Hey, fellas, watch the bricks! Hey, Bucky, you gonna ride that thing all day? Do something useful, will ya? All right, we're coming up to the 80th floor. You're headed to the top of the Empire State Building right here in the heart of New York City.
Once on the 80th floor, it was chaos. This is the lower indoor deck, and is really only a staging post as the elevator does not go all the way to the top. Here you get some great views, but it's indoor and the windows are small, and there isn't really much reason to spend a lot of time here. But the queue for the final elevator was madness, as you can see. However, we found a neat little shortcut and were able to hike the remaining floors using the stairs. We are reasonably fit, but it was still a workout, but only took around 5 minutes as opposed to waiting 45 minutes for the elevator. To be clear, there was a member of staff directing us to do this. We didn't just crash through a door or anything like that. Up on top, and the view took our breath away as usual. There really is nothing in the world like the view from high up above New York. We often hear people disparaging observation decks. Who wants to come to New York to ride elevators? But they are missing the point. And from this stunning vantage point, the city is completely unreal. This was fall, so there were several fall displays to grab your Instagram photos to post up on your socials. The deck offers full 360-degree views of the city and covers just about every site you can imagine, apart from the Empire State Building, obviously. We wandered around the deck a few times, taking in the stunning sights of the city. After a while, we finally headed back down. There was very little in the way of queuing on the way down, and we got to the bottom in no time at all. From here, we jumped on the subway and headed back up towards the Plaza Hotel. This was just a quick stop to pass some time. We love the Plaza, and while we were not having afternoon tea today, we wanted to just pop in for a look around. We then found a cosy little Irish bar to relax, have a drink, and wait for our next paid attraction. Our next attraction was a guided tour of New York's TV and movie sites. One issue we had here was the guide asked us not to film during the tour, As the tour is copyrighted and highly protected intellectual property, we had no issue complying with this, but it makes it hard to include on the video. The tour meets and begins in Times Square, which counted as a location, which is a bit of a cop-out really, but there has been a lot of filming here, to be fair. The tour then headed out to hunt for a ton more filming locations. There are a huge number of sites covered on this tour, and the tour guide is basically pumping out locations the entire duration of the tour. It's a lot to take in, but you do get to see some great sites. There are also several stops along the way. The first is the incredibly iconic Friends apartment, which ended up being very poignant as this trip went on. Then we visited Washington Square Park, which has been in many productions, but none were really that important to us. Then it's over to the Ghostbusters fire station, which is easily our favourite stop. Unfortunately for most of the stops, these are locations we have done before, and on the whole, the bus tour was not a great way for us to see the sites. We tend to hunt them out ourselves and have several guides on where to find most of them for yourself. We'll add a link to that in the comments. But if you are new to the city and looking for an easy way to hunt out a load of sites in one easy trip, it's a really fun tour. The biggest problem with the tour for us is the traffic. We spent a lot of time in New York's pretty hellish traffic. However, the guide's ability to pad was pretty amazing, and he kept the tour interesting even when we were stuck in a queue. After the bus tour, we needed to hightail it over to the other side of the city to book onto the Harbour Lights cruise tour by City Line Cruises. This was quite tight as there was no easy public transport connections to Pier 83. Luckily we made some new friends on the movie sites tour, and we split an Uber over to the pier with them as they were doing the exact same thing as us. Great minds and all that. At the pier we were able to redeem the passes and then board the boat right away. We were a little late and there was not too much space up top, but we got a decent spot on the left hand side which offers the best views, at least on the way out. And on the way back, people head inside as it's often pretty cold by then. We love being out on the water, and the Harbour Lights cruise offers stunning views of the city. The vessel sails down the Hudson with amazing views of the Hudson development, with Midtown and the Empire State peeking out behind. Then the towering downtown skyline comes into view, including the imperious One World Freedom Tower. The cruise then turns up the East River, under the Brooklyn Bridge and the Manhattan Bridge. Again with iconic vistas, it then sails up the East River as far as the Pepsi-Cola sign and Roosevelt Island before heading back down the river with great views of Midtown on the right. The upper outdoor deck is the place to be as you get the full stunning views of the city. However, this can be really cold. The weather today was not too inclement, temperatures quite mild for the time of year. However, out on the bay the wind naturally gets up, and after an hour or so on the water it does start to get cold. The indoor areas are much more hospitable and are heated. There is also a bar area where you can get yourself some overpriced drinks, and they also have a basic selection of snack food such as pizzas, hot dogs, burgers, stuff like that. None of it is very good and none of it is very cheap, but if you're really hungry, it's there for you. There are of course also restrooms aboard, and overall it's a very hospitable cruise liner. But the star of the show always will be the stunning twinkling lights of the New York skyline. The final coup de grace is a close pass of Liberty Island and a close-up view of Lady Liberty herself. She is really stunning in the evening light, with the twinkling lights of the Manhattan skyline in the distance. The cruise finally heads back up the East River with amazing views of the city once more. Our new friends were truly in awe as this was their first time, and they turned to say to us, "You're probably used to this by now," but the answer is no. We don't think you can ever really get used to this. The city is really so incredibly stunning at night. As we headed into dock, we knew we were cutting the schedule really fine now. As a final masterstroke of the day, we wanted to get to the edge for another stunning outdoor view of the city, this time by night. But the edge closes at 10 PM, we would dock at 9 PM, and the last entry was 9:15. Google said it was a 25-minute walk, but it didn't calculate how long it would take to run. The answer? 14.5 minutes, with us getting to the gate with 30 seconds to spare, sweaty, stressed and out of breath. But we were in, and what's more, it was really quiet at this time, with nobody in our shots and having an elevator all to ourselves.
Nice and quiet.
Memories build the future of a great public space.
Again, up at the top, it was really quiet and we had plenty of time to explore the deck and take in the amazing views of the city at night. We are often asked, is it better to view the city at day or night? And the answer is both. This is a skyline that has to be witnessed at night and in the day, and to be honest, at sunset as well. With the deck nice and quiet, we did not really have to queue for any of the highlight shots, such as the Eastern Point, the Skyline Stairs, or the Glass Triangle. It's really a great deck and we do love it, but every time we come, we are reminded how annoyingly placed 1 Manhattan West is. It's right in front of the Empire State Building, and it really kills the views from the edge. We wish it wasn't, but annoyingly it is, and it really upsets the view. The deck is still worth a visit, however, as it just offers a totally different experience to the other decks. By now we were getting pretty tired and very cold. The adrenaline of the day was waning and we needed to start thinking about sleep. However, it was at this moment we realised we had really not eaten all day, apart from a couple of burgers at brunch time. We headed down the elevator, which is quite a fun ride on the way down, and jumped onto the subway back to Times Square. It was late at night, we were hungry and needed cheap and easy food fast. There is only one solution to this in New York: 99-cent pizza. We grabbed a couple of slices and headed back to the hotel, falling to sleep shortly after our pizza went down. A final check of the forecast had tomorrow looking very bleak indeed. Quick look at how the pass is doing. The total for our attractions for today was $254.80. with the pass costing $249. That's a saving of $5.20 already. As we said, this is a 3-day all-inclusive pass, which means we still have 2 more days of visiting attractions to get the full value of the pass. And we are already in profit. It was very busy and we did more than we should do, and we actually haven't done Top of the Rock yet, although we have counted it in the calculation, due to us redeeming it today. There's still a lot more to come, and we plan to get a lot more value out of the pass. The only attraction that caused any issue with the pass was the Top of the Rock, as obviously we were not actually able to visit the deck today. We believe if the weather situation had been different, we would probably have been able to go straight up, but Just so many people decided to head to the Rock that day due to the inclement weather that was in the forecast. Make sure you like and subscribe for the latest content and to follow along with our adventures. We still have a lot to come in New York and even more beyond in the coming days.